Babe, I think my water broke. He was like,
Stop lying.
what's up, y'all? So, y'all know I'm talking about my natural labor and delivery experience, and this is a quick one, the difference between experiencing your water breaking and then having it broke for you. I'm so happy I got to experience having my water break. Obviously, a lot of women don't get to experience that, and I think it's actually the majority who their water doesn't actually break. But I'm really happy that I got to experience that, um, because it's something I would never have known what to expect. You hear people talk about it, but honestly, when it happened, I didn't know. So I have been working, and I work remotely. So I was on a quick little break, and I went to the bathroom, and my pants were wet. I'm like, it was like, it didn't quite process that this is what happened. I'm like, did I pee? Am I sweating? And I'm like, oh my gosh. I think my water broke. And that's what I told Danelle. I was like, I think my water just broke. And he was like,
Stop lying.
and I was like, no, I think it really did. And it was just like, after that, when I tell y'all my mind went like till it was just like, what are we supposed to do? Especially because y'all, I'm 36 weeks pregnant at this point. I'm like, I got plenty of time before this baby comes. So we didn't have nothing ready. I was just like, so do we gotta go to the hospital now? Like, do we wait? So it was crazy because, with my son, my water didn't break. I woke up and I was starting to have some contractions, and they were kind of sporadic, but we went to the hospital. I can't remember if I had a little bit of bleeding. It might have been a little bit of spotting, and that's why we actually went to the hospital to start. And they actually ended up sending me home after they checked me. I think I was at like 1, and they were like, you can go back home, you can walk the stairs, and just kind of move around to kind of get the contractions going, but don't come back until they're within 5 minutes apart from each other. So I actually went back home. I was like walking upstairs and just kind of chilling, honestly. And by that time, I was like, really, you're excited. You want to kind of be ready, especially because it's the first one. You just really don't know what to expect with the first baby. So eventually, we were able to go back, and even that process, it was still really long because I told y'all how my contractions were sporadic, and then of course my doctor ended up breaking my water. So that is such a contrast from being able to be at home to where my water actually breaking, and then you have to go in. It's not safe because that fluid around the baby is protecting them. So when that's gone, you don't want to you want to be where you're supposed to be and go ahead and deliver that baby. So I remember driving in the car, and after we had got everything together, I'm like, we need the car seat. Do you have a little insert for the baby? And then I'm just like, still like, what? I like really could not believe that this was happening so soon. So we're driving in the car, and we happened, thank God, to put a towel down in the car. Cause as we're driving, I'm like, it just felt like warm water just pouring down my leg, and I'm like, ooh, I'm like, some more just came out, and I'm like, ask my mom, I'm like, is this what is this normal? She's like, yeah, and y'all, I didn't know this. Like, they said like you would continue to feel like fluid come out up until the baby comes. It's normal. So once we get to the hospital, Danelle parks the car, and I had him go in, I think, the wrong entrance. So I'm walking a lot further than I thought I would. And when I tell y'all, so as soon as I stood up, the water was like running down my leg, or the fluid was running down my leg. My sandals were wet, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to like sit down because it was like a line to check in, with the COVID protocols and stuff like that. And so I saw 2 nurses or whoever, they were coming out, and I think they were off work. And I'm like, y'all, can y'all help me? Like, my water broke, and it was like I was almost nervous to walk because I'm like, I didn't want to fall, and Cause when I tell y'all my sandals was wet, they were wet. So they give me a wheelchair and then they wheel me up to where I gotta go, and now it's cool. But ultimately, that experience was I would say it's so cool. Like it was. I'm just happy I got to experience it. Like it's not like such a big deal. Like oh, you gotta do it. But if you're able to experience it, I think it's just cool. And for me, it was cool for the second delivery. To me, because it did it on its own, I was just like, okay, I know she's ready. And I just thank God that it happened when it did, because I had before the last appointment I had pockets where there were lower fluid. It was on the lower side. So they were already talking about like, just in case, we have to monitor that and you might have to get induced or whatever because you really don't want that. And so I'm like, this messing up my plans. Like this not what I this not what I signed up for. So I was just so happy that it happened on its own. And then of course there were some different things that happened with that. Because it broke, we had to stay at the hospital, we had to wait, and because she was coming early, I had to make some decisions as far as getting the baby out. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all, and I will talk to y'all on the next video. Water just broke. It was a little bit earlier, and that's when we started getting ready to go to the hospital. And then since sitting here, I felt a little more. So we are on our way to the hospital now. We are so excited.